since Justin Trudeau left, polls now show that you're the least popular leader. Do you think NDP candidates in close ridings are better off campaigning on their own local accomplishments and brand than on the party's national brand, which includes yourself?
Good morning, everyone. Hopefully you're having a wonderful day so far. I got a good one for you today. So, Jagmeet Singh was talking price caps on groceries yesterday, and the media kind of took a hard left on him and asked him why he was the least liked leader out there. And since this is a question we'd all have answered, I thought we should get into it. So with no further ado, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. And with no further ado, let's get into the CPAC video.
TBC.
Hi, Mr. Singh. Good morning. We're a week into this campaign, and you've laid out very clearly your policy priorities when it comes to supporting workers in the face of tariffs, support for renters, and now grocery prices. But I'm wondering if you could today tell us what success looks like politically in your campaign. I know you're probably going to give me a policy answer, but I'm really looking for what does success look like for you politically? Are you still running to be Prime Minister?
Absolutely. I want folks to know they've got a real choice in this election. That if you want someone that's going to fight for you, that's us. If you want someone that's going to take on corporate greed in the grocery stores, take on corporate landlords, that's us. If you want someone that's got a real plan to make life more affordable, that's New Democrats. And I've shown you what we can do when we are fighting for you in Ottawa. We deliver dental care, pharmacare, protections for workers, real changes in your lives. Imagine what could happen if you elect more of us. I want folks to have someone fighting for them. I want the folks of Ottawa Centre to have Joel Harden fighting for them. I know that you are going to be better off, you're going to be better served if a New Democrat is fighting for you. I'm running to become Prime Minister because I want a Prime Minister that actually fights for working class folks, that fights for everyday families, that fights for the middle class every single day in office. And that's going to be me and my team. Absolument. Je me prête.
So, watching Northern Perspective and some other channels, apparently in some cases with the dental care program, there's a high upfront fee. And small things like fillings and all that are not covered. So if that's what the NDP fought tooth and nail for, that ain't dental care right there. And as for his pharmacare plan, we still don't know how the Liberals, or heck, the NDP would ever pay for that. We know how the Conservatives would pay for it. They're going to cut all the government bloat. He hasn't specifically said anything. And I love how the reporter from CTV asked him, are you still running for PM? That might be not directly asking him, hey, do you think you're actually going to win this? But he implied it.
Okay, just my second question here, Mr. Singh. A lot of Canadians don't see you as being the next Prime Minister. They see this as a race between the Conservatives and the Liberals. What do you want to tell those voters? What is your message to them, especially maybe voters who might not want to see another majority government, whether it's Conservative, whether it's Liberal? What's your message to those voters, especially those voters who maybe are concerned about a potential Conservative government, maybe voters in a riding like Ottawa Centre?
Vote New Democrat. That's my message to you. Vote New Democrat. And you are better off when you vote New Democrat. And we can show you. You sent 25 of us to Ottawa. I'm honored by that. I thank you for that. And what did you get in return? Millions of people got dental care. Millions of people are going to have their medication covered. That's right. Millions of people's lives are going to be concretely better off because you voted for New Democrats. So I would say if you want someone there in Ottawa fighting for you, that's only going to fight for you and your family, that's got a clear sense of convictions around who they're in it for, that's us. That's New Democrats. So wherever you live, if you want someone that's going to fight for you, truly fight for you, send a New Democrat to fight for you and see the difference it's going to make in your life and the life of Canadians. We have seen that already. I encourage you to do that again.
Toria Isri, Global News.
That he doesn't fight for me. He's never fought for me. And that pharmacare plan goes to show for it because it only covers diabetes, And for some reason, it covers family planning medication, which men do not take.
Hi, Mr. Singh.
And it doesn't cover that. So, thank you for that, Jagmeet. You're really helping people like me out. And yeah, what the pharmacare plan he put in does not cover my medication. So how about people like me?
Mr. Carney, after his phone call with Trump, said Canada would negotiate a new security and economic agreement after the election. Do you think it's appropriate for Mr. Carney to be making post-election plans?
Well, again, when it comes to, and I've said this a couple times, when it comes to fighting back against Donald Trump, I'm on a Team Canada approach. I want us to be united, that no matter what the makeup of Parliament, we all should stand together to fight back against Donald Trump in a united way. And whatever the results are, Donald Trump should know that all Canadian leaders want us to be free and independent and proud of who we are, and that we're ready to fight back. I am concerned, though, that Donald Trump negotiated the last agreement himself, signed it, and now is ignoring it. And I think it shows you that we've got to actually take a different approach to Donald Trump. We have to show strength. We should say, listen, there's no reason to renegotiate something when the date of expiry isn't for another year. And so I would think we've got to show strength, we've got to fight back, and that's what New Democrats are proposing.
Mr. Polyev headed to...
So pretty much proposing what every other politician is proposing. That's no different from anybody else. So what makes you different, Jagmeet? Why do we want the person who pretty much destroyed the NDP and refused to bring us into an election when the majority of Canadians wanted an election just so he can get his pension?
British Columbia.
And even if it wasn't because of his pension, that's how it looks. Because, right after Jagmeet got his pension, then Justin Trudeau stepped down, and then there was an election. And we said this would happen.
Before you did, I know you're heading there later, but you're facing more competition from both the Conservatives and the Liberals in your home province. What is your strategy to deal with that?
Again, just to let Canadians know what's at stake in this election. We've got a very important election, probably one of the most important in our lives. And we got real serious challenges up against Canadians, up against our country. And in those challenges, I ask you, who do you really want there in Ottawa fighting for you? Do you want someone that has shown you that their priority is millionaires, not working class folks, not everyday folks? That's Mark Carney. He's shown that with his tax cuts for millionaires and said that GST relief was a bad idea. Do you want someone like Pierre Poilievre, who will cut the things that you hold dear, and it'll cost you more? He wants to cut healthcare, cut pensions, cut the things that you need. It's going to cost you more, all to give big tax breaks to his billionaire buddies. Or do you want New Democrats? Folks are going to fight for you and your family, fight to defend our healthcare and make it stronger, make it better, fight to defend our pensions and make them better, fight to bring down the cost of groceries, like we're talking about today with the price cap. I think the choice is clear. New Democrats have your back. If you want someone that's got your back, vote for a New Democrat.
Rachel Ayello, CTV.
Want the guy who's most likely gonna cut, is going to tax every middle class person, because that's always where these taxes come into. They affect the middle class the most. They don't affect the upper class. They affect the middle class. And Canadians that work at jobs that don't have their own businesses. And I don't know where this guy gets his thing where Pierre Poilievre is going to cut pensions and cut your health care. He'll probably make our health care better because, like I said, he's going to cut the bloat that the Liberals have created just by getting rid of the carbon tax. Just by that alone, he'll save millions of our tax dollars. Where I bet you the NDP won't cut out the carbon tax because their voters would be livid. But that's good that we don't have to worry about it because the NDP are way far below the Liberals in the polls.
Good morning, Mr. Singh. Today, the Conservatives are going after workers' votes again with tax breaks for traveling workers and ending tax write-offs on luxury jets. They continue to have support from unions. Just wondering, what can you do to punch through to those worker votes that once were pretty solidly orange and now might be tempted by some of Poilievre's proposals?
I want folks to remember who Poilievre is. He has spent his career, since he's a career politician, fighting for the billionaires. That is what he has done. He voted against federal minimum wage increases, not once, but multiple times. He voted against workers being able to fight for fair wages multiple times. He ordered workers back to work multiple times. He's undermined the rights of workers. He's undermined the rights of unions again and again. When he got first elected, which was a long time ago as a career politician, he said very proudly that he was the first federally elected MP to push for right-to-work laws in Canada. And we all know right-to-work laws are anti-union, anti-worker laws that are in many of the red states in the United States. He has made it his career to fight against unions and working people. He is no friend of yours. And I would say to you, when you're in a fight is when you know you've got a real friend. When workers were in a fight, when they were on the picket lines, who showed up? Did Pierre Poilievre ever show up to a picket line? No. He's never going to show up to a picket line because that's not who he is. But when workers were in a fight and workers were on one side and big bosses were on the other side, New Democrats showed up, I showed up. Oui, bien sûr.
And who said to those unions while standing on those picket lines that, oh, I won't vote you back to work. Oh, I'll vote for you. And then Parliament came around and they voted to send them back to work. Jagmeet and the NDP. So, I'm so with you, unions. Yeah. You stand with them and then you stab them in the back.
And you're heading to British Columbia later this afternoon. Your party currently holds half of its seats in that province, but some polls are suggesting support there might be cratering for the NDP. So what is your strategy heading into BC this week to try to win back BC voters?
We're going to let BC voters know how important this election is and how important the choices in front of them. And really the question that I want folks to think about is, who is in it for you? Who is making decisions in your best interest every single day? We've shown you again and again, Mark Carney has a career of making lots of money for big corporations, but at the cost of everyday folks. When he was at Brookfield, they made a strategic decision as a company that they were going to find affordable rentals. And they said, you know what, if people are only paying $1,000 a month rental, we could jack that up to triple that. We can make way more money off them. So they targeted affordable homes, affordable buildings, bought them, and jacked up rent as a strategic decision. Now that's the guy who wants to run as prime minister saying that he's going to fix the housing crisis. It's not believable. The person that contributed to the problem can't now somehow fix the problem. Pierre Poilievre is going to cut the things you need. We know what Conservatives do. They cut and it costs you, and they do that just to give more tax breaks to their billionaire buddies. And so for New Democrats, our commitment is you. We want to strengthen healthcare, make sure you can find a family doctor. We want to strengthen pensions. We want to bring down the price of groceries by bringing in an emergency price cap. We want to lower the cost of homes. We have got your back.
Mark Ramsey.
I don't know. The NDP are on this tirade of when they're asked, oh, what are you going to do to bring these voters back? He says, oh, we're going to let them know how important this election is. It's like he thinks Canadians are stupid, especially his own voters are stupid. Do you think we're dumb enough not to know how important this election is when our economy is in the gutter, when there's these threats of tariffs, and there's a possibility of another Liberal government that your own voters don't know, maybe this election is pretty dang important. No. This is why people don't like you, Jagmeet. You treat us like we're children. and I can't believe anybody would vote for you.
Mark Ramsey, Toronto Star.
Good morning, Mr. Singh and Mr. Hardin. Pierre Poilievre disclosed his investments this week, and they include ETFs that have shares of Brookfield in them. Given that both of you have criticized Mark Carney's record with Brookfield and Brookfield's corporate practices, can you say definitively that you are not invested in Brookfield in any way?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, I have complied with all the rules as a member of parliament. All my disclosures are public. The problem is Mark Carney has not disclosed his interest. And the problem with that is that he's using a loophole, the fact that he's not right now a member of parliament. All members of parliament have to disclose their interests. And someone that's running for prime minister, you would think, would also disclose his interest so people can see, does he have ongoing interest in Brookfield or not? I'm also putting forward clear approaches that would attack Brookfield's way of making money. So my interest is in you and your families. I'm proposing a ban on large corporations like Brookfield buying up affordable homes. My question is, would Mark Carney support something like that? And I think he wouldn't, because that's not his values. And he also worked for this company just a couple months ago. And he hasn't disclosed his interests. And it's impacting the decisions he might make, and Canadians ought to know.
I'll clarify that your investments are not public because we're in an election right now, but I'll ask your office for those. But my second question is, since Justin Trudeau left, polls now show that you're the least popular leader. Do you think NDP candidates in close ridings are better off campaigning on their own local accomplishments and brand than on the party's national brand, which includes yourself?
I think folks should campaign on both. I want folks to show what they've done for their community. I want folks to be proud of their track record of fighting for their communities. And I want folks to point out that New Democrats have delivered for Canadians, that we have delivered concrete things that have made their lives better. I want people to know that New Democrats fought for and delivered dental care, that we fought for and delivered pharmacare, that we fought for and delivered anti-scab legislation. These are things that New Democrats delivered, that I delivered as leader and we delivered as a team, that people should know about. And so when we say we're going to cap the price of groceries, believe us, we've delivered before. When I say I'm going to ban corporations from buying up affordable homes, believe us, because we've delivered. We are committed to you, and we've shown you that we can fight for you with our track record.
Merci beaucoup. Prochaine question, Lise Denis, Le Droit.
Yes, but you are the least liked leader. And that hurts every NDP MP that's running out there. The reason that question was asked was because we saw that with Justin Trudeau, where when Justin Trudeau was in power, people in certain ridings, they were like, oh, I love my MP, but I hate Justin Trudeau, so I'm not going to vote Liberal. So right now what they might, or in these NDP ridings, what voters might be saying is, I love my MP right now, but I despise Jagmeet Singh and the way he's been helping us, quote unquote. So I'm not going to vote for NDP. I'm going to vote Liberal or Conservative. That's why it's so dangerous, and why Jagmeet has pretty much ruined the NDP brand. Now, I don't remember who's the leader. Pretty much the retired leader that brought the NDP to prominence when they were leader of the opposition. But apparently, watching Northern Perspective and a bunch of other channels that actually remember that time, that they actually fought for unions. They actually fought for people. They didn't roll into Parliament or into some place with their Rolex in hand or with their Maserati and then tell people, oh, it's not mine. They actually had the working man's moxie going on. And Jagmeet does not have that. So he has to, what I think he has to do is he has to stand back and say, okay, hey, people don't like me, so let's promote the MPs rather than me. I'm just going to stand back and kind of give generic answers. Or I'm not going to do as many press conferences and just let the MPs do their thing. That might be the best. As for the Brookfield Properties thing, with Brookfield Properties, ETFs. Unfortunately, I think if you have an RRSP, they're probably going to be with or invested in Brookfield Properties. It's going to be invested in Brookfield Properties ETF. That's just normal for RRSPs to do. It is what it is. It's interesting that Jagmeet hasn't said what he's actually invested in.
Yeah, I just want to talk about the policy this morning. We've seen before when the government tries to negotiate deals with companies, mostly looking at Meta and the Online News Act right now. Companies will say, this isn't economical for us. They'll take it away. If they're looking at price caps for groceries right now, I see you've got some oranges in the basket there. What happens in a situation where we see we negotiate price caps for, let's just use oranges as an example. We outgrow them in Canada. A company says it's not economical for us to have oranges anymore. They stop stocking oranges. What would you do in that situation?
Well, we've got actually a couple of other countries that have figured this out. So we would look at what France has done and what Greece has done. Both of them have effectively brought in price controls, and those price controls, in the example of France, has dropped food inflation by 15%. In the case of Greece, they were able to drop food prices by 15%. So we've seen price controls work effectively in other countries. We would use that example. And we would also focus on the items that would have the best impact on people's food purchases. So we look at items that are made in Canada, or items that the grocers have their own labels, where they put their own label on top of it and they control the prices of it. There are ways to achieve the outcomes that we want. Other countries have done it. There's other sectors where price controls have brought down prices. We are seeing more and more, in the case of corporate grocery stores, when they colluded to jack up the price of our bread, when they colluded to jack up the price of meat, they are ripping us off. And so corporate grocery stores need someone that's going to fight back and defend you and your family, not allow them to continue to rip you off. And that's what our price cap's about, fighting back to protect you and your family.
Yeah, I just want to go back to the start of the week for a second question. Were you campaigning on the idea of using federally owned land to build affordable housing?
I'm just going to say this. I've said it again. Price caps are going to be terrible for the farmer because pricing for things are not stable for farmers. If fertilizer goes up, then creating that orange is going to cost more. If there's hailstorms, I'm going to use peas because, I'm around that area that has a lot of peas. So a lot of times the farmers, their crop can look beautiful. It's awesome. It's going well. And then a massive hailstorm comes in and those peas are wiped out. Now, luckily, what the provincial government does is they have protections for farmers where they give them a little bit of money back. But if we have price caps on food, the farmers won't be getting the rest of that money back because then they can't raise the prices on a limited amount of food because there won't be enough peas. Or we're going to have to import more peas from different countries. So the agriculture sector, from what I know, and let me know in the comments down below if you actually work there and say that it's right, but it's way too volatile to have a price cap in there. Now, I think a very, very good way of sort of preventing all of these price gouging is how about incentivizing small town mom and pop grocery stores. Give them maybe a little bit of government help until they get on their feet or something like that. I think that would be a wonderful thing to do. Like, acknowledge that we have a monopoly on grocery stores right now, and we need to get rid of that, and that's why you help out the mom and pop grocery stores. I'd totally be behind my tax dollars going to that rather than other things, rather than government bloat. But that's just me.
I was saying, excuse me, there's been some concern in the First Nations communities about what this could potentially mean for crown land and taking away land that they do have treaty rights to use to make way for housing that would no longer be available to them. How do you square that affordability pitch with the government of Canada's treaty obligations?
Well, I think we always have to respect our treaty obligations. We're talking about land that is already in federal hands that's not being sold off. The question around land back, or the question about Indigenous communities having the first right of refusal, often involves when lands are being sold off. This is land that we want to keep in federal government's hand and keep it affordable. Unlike the plans of the Liberals and the Conservatives, who are both proposing to sell off Crown land and sell it to basically the highest bidder. And in the case of the Liberals, they want most of it to be unaffordable. And in the case of the Conservatives, they want all of it to be marketed and unaffordable. Our plan is that we keep the land, that it remains owned by the public, and that 100% of the homes built on it are affordable. That's a very different plan and different approach, one that continues to respect treaty rights, which we think is fundamental in the way we move forward as a nation.
Thank you very much. That concludes the press.
Okay, we're still going to be paying for it through our taxes, though. That's the thing. So every Canadian there will be paying for it through their taxes. And knowing how governments actually run things, are you going to pay the maintenance man double of what he's actually worth? Pay the janitor there double than what he's actually worth? And then, like, if somebody has, a light out in their house because it's on the government dime and on the taxpayer's dime, are you going to call the maintenance man to come over right away on call so it costs like triple the amount just to get that light bulb fixed? Now I bet they would, because the NDP and most governments do not care about money whatsoever. It seems like the Conservatives are the only ones who actually care about the dollar, or Canadians' money at that. So I do not trust the NDP to run my housing. We've seen what happens in communist governments that do that, and it does not end well. That's the exact reason why in China the communist government there sold their housing to private companies, because their government housing was going to shit. How do we think we're going to do any better? Anyways, that's all I got for you today. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and let me know what you think about Jagmeet Singh's price caps, and let me know what you think about his plans for Canada in the comments down below. Other than that, have a great day.